I would film my leg session. So yeah, it's going to be mainly glute focused, and I'll probably film as much of it as I can. So I go now to the gym, what I have been the last couple of days, more kind of like between 11 till like 3-4ish, because that is the time it is quietest. I don't know what I haven't been going at that time before. It's so much better than going a bit later, or even early is like really, really busy. So that was my gym time at the moment. This leg session was a glute focused leg session, so I started off with hip thrusts. This was a first warm-up set, so it's fairly light to begin with, and then I do another 2 sets, which are my main working sets. So I'm pausing for a second as I reach the top, the hips, and then coming down nice and slowly and controlled, getting all the way to the bottom where the bars for the glute builder are, and then driving the hips up to the top and back down. I add on another 2 20s, so 1 on each side, and this is my main working set weight. I'm actually increasing this, so next session I will be going a little bit heavier, but I was focusing on doing around 10 to 15 repetitions on these working sets, and again I was actually pausing for about 2 seconds at the top of these working sets and then lowering down with control. So when you get to the top of the movement, you want to really focus on that glute squeeze, and then lowering down with the hips, nice and controlled. You should feel it working in the glutes and the hamstrings. I think the difficult thing with the hip thrusts is often actually the pad position and finding a pad which is quite comfortable for the hips, because even this pad, it's just not thick enough, so I do end up sometimes with marks on the hips from the bar kind of coming through the pad. Anyone who's done hip thrusts will know what I mean. As you can see, towards the end, I'm pretty much getting to those failure reps. The next exercise I moved on to was a single leg press. This was mainly glute focused. Again, as my knee is coming into the chest, I'm controlling the movement, so getting nice and slowly, pausing a little bit at the bottom and then driving up with the leg. So I really want to work into those glutes on this exercise. The majority of the exercises I did today were 3 sets. So that was either 1 warm-up set and 2 working sets, or some of them were 3 working sets. And then obviously I'm changing to the other leg, and the knee is coming all the way into the chest, driving up through that glute, really working into the hamstring. Making sure it's slow and controlled as the knee is coming into my chest. On my second set, I didn't actually go any heavier. I did stick with the same weight just because I could actually feel it working quite a lot, and my rep range is actually increased on the second and third set. So I was doing 12 to 15 repetitions on all 3 sets. You can see the face towards the end. It's not the prettiest of sights. Next I moved on to a reverse hack squat. The reason I did a reverse hack squat instead of a normal hack squat was actually because reverse tends to have a little bit more focus on the glutes and the hamstrings, and as I've said, they're the 2 areas that I am focusing on growing at the moment. My quads are quite, I think, developed, so as I said, glutes I really want to continue to develop, and the hamstrings. Again, I did 3 working sets of these. With each set I actually increased the weight, and then the last set I think I added 3 plates on each side. So I'm making sure that as I'm going down, my legs are parallel to the platform. My feet are a little bit away from the edge of the platform, and they're just a bit wider than shoulder width apart. And then as I'm going down, the platform's going all the way to the bottom where there's like a little stop, and then I'm driving up through the quads. The reverse hack squat, you will tend to find it works the back a little bit more than a normal hack squat, because obviously on a normal hack squat, when you're the other way around, you have the back support, whereas when you're doing reverse, you don't have any back support. So it will also be working the back. As you can see towards the end, it was getting quite heavy, and I think on the last set, I did about 8 to 10 reps instead of 12. Next, I moved on to a laying hamstring curl. The reason I actually do kind of a seal position is because then my quads and my hips are driving into the pad, and actually I can feel it really working the hamstrings a lot more than if I actually have my chest flat to the pad. So I'm focusing on, as the legs are lifting, keeping the contraction in the hamstrings the whole time, and then, as always, pausing for a second at the top, slow on the eccentric movement as my legs are lowering down. So I said I did also do one set where my chest is flat to the pad, and I found this quite effective because I had done a set prior to this, where I was in the seal position, but I have to say I do prefer the seal position personally. I find actually the contraction in the hamstrings is far greater for me than if I am laying flat. I did a third set of the hamstring curl in the seal position, but I didn't actually film that for you guys. Then I moved on to walking lunges, so I actually did 2 sets of these. And I probably could have gone a little bit heavier on this exercise. So I was using 18s in each arm, but I think really I probably could have gone about 20 to 24. However, I do find when I go heavier, it turns into more of a farmer's carry, and I actually feel it working the forearms more than anything else. Another area I've been really focusing on in my lower body training is my adductors. So I use the Adductor Machine for this. Really effective machine, starting with the legs as wide as you can, so obviously I'm flexible so the knees can go all the way out, and then slow and controlled bringing the legs in. We're pausing for a second as the knees come into the middle, and you can really feel that work in the inner thigh. So as the knees are coming out, it's slow and controlled. As the knees are coming in, there's a pause in the middle, and then back to the knees coming out. I did 2 sets of these again, and then I moved on to my final exercise. The last leg exercise I did was a calf raise, so I used the standing calf raise machine for this. And this is where the heels are dropping all the way below the platform, rising to the top of the toes, and then back down. I actually superset this exercise with a hanging leg raise. I didn't actually film that just because it was the other end of the gym. I didn't take my camera to that end of the gym. But superset is where you do one exercise straight into the next exercise before you have your rest period. And I did 2 sets of these exercises. the gym. It was a good leg session, and I also had to get some things from town. So I did need to get an HDMI cable. So I'm hoping this will connect my laptop to my TV. We will soon find out. And then I also need to get some protein powder. So this one is gold standard. Had it so many times. It's actually a good one. It was on offer, so I thought I'll just get that one. I did get a little coffee while I was waiting for the bus, which was nice. And then my Amazon parcel also arrived. So I think I've got a ring light, and maybe a drying mat, not very exciting. And what else did I order? Oh, some cuffs for when I do lateral raises, because they're a lot more effective than if you're doing them with a D handle thing. So that is for my draining board, because my pet hate is when you have watermarks on the draining board. So what I've been doing is putting a tea towel on the draining board, but now I've got this, it'll be a lot better. And then obviously the ring light as well. So I'm actually quite excited to use that. One thing I have not been very good at the last couple of weeks is being on track with my diet. I think it's very difficult because it's been December and, well, not December, it's like Christmas festive period. I've had so many social things, and I love social things, but I have to remember obviously my goal, and I do want to reach my goal and stay on track. So sometimes, you know, you've got to say no to things and you need to make sure you get back on track. And that's exactly what I need to do. So I have got quite a few more social events coming up, but I really want to be on it as much as I can with diet at the moment, because yeah, I know it does affect my goal, and that's obviously very important to me. It's been a very long time since I've had cream of rice, a couple of weeks. So I've got 80 grams cream of rice, banana, dark chocolate, 1 square, so probably about 10-15 grams, and then a tablespoon of almond butter. And that was my post-workout meal. Hope you guys enjoyed that video.